Everyone thought it was just another quiet morning on base until the general stopped mid-step, staring at the young sergeant's rifle like he'd seen a ghost. The sunlight hit the steel and his breath simply left him. "Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening." It was late morning inside the armory, the kind of day where sunlight poured through the tall windows, turning dust particles into tiny sparks in the air. Sergeant Emily Parker sat on a wooden bench, sleeves rolled up, cleaning her M24 sniper rifle with careful precision. Her movements were calm, almost meditative. Then she sensed someone behind her. When she turned slightly, she saw him, General Arthur Gaines, one of the most respected officers on base. He stood at her side, staring down at the weapon in her hands as though time had just stopped. At first, Emily thought she'd done something wrong. She straightened, rifle still in her lap. "Good morning, sir," she said politely. The general didn't answer. He leaned closer, his gloved hand trembling slightly as he pointed toward the small engraving near the trigger guard, 3 interlocked triangles barely visible in the light. Where did you get this rifle?" he asked quietly. Emily frowned, surprised by the tone in his voice. "Sir, this M24 was issued to me 2 months ago, when I transferred here from Fort Carson." The general bent closer, squinting as if confirming something he could barely believe. His metals glinted under the light, his posture stiff yet shaken. "That mark," he whispered. "Do you know what it means?" Emily looked down. The sunlight caught the faint symbol again, almost glowing. "No, sir. I thought it was just a scratch." He shook his head slowly, his expression filled with disbelief and sorrow. "That's not a scratch. That's a unit symbol, one that hasn't existed since Coast Province, 2008. Her hands froze mid. "Clean. Coast Province," she repeated softly. The general nodded. "This rifle belonged to Lieutenant Mark Reynolds. He carved that mark with his team. It meant we come home together. But Reynolds didn't come home. He died covering our withdrawal. We never recovered his weapon." Emily's heart skipped a beat. Her father had once told her about that mission, how an unknown soldier had dragged him out of the blast zone before everything went dark. "Sir, my father served in Coast. Private David Parker. He always said someone saved him that day. A man named Mark." The general turned to her stunned for a long moment. Neither of them spoke. The only sound was the faint metallic click of the rifle bolt she'd forgotten to release. "Your father," the general said, his voice breaking slightly, "was the last man Reynolds saved. I was the one who ordered the extraction. That mark, it's his signature." Emily stared down at the weapon. Her reflection mirrored faintly in its polished metal. The air felt thick, not heavy with grief, but with history. "I didn't know," she whispered. "All this time," he nodded solemnly, his eyes softening. "Sometimes the past finds its way home, even through a weapon." Around them, the sound of distant drills carried through the open window. The sun was high now, bright and unwavering, filling the room with gold and warmth. The general straightened his posture, his shock slowly fading into quiet respect. He rested a hand on Emily's shoulder. "Sergeant Parker, your father, was a good man, and so was Reynolds. That rifle, it doesn't just belong to history anymore. It belongs to courage." Emily smiled faintly, nodding as she looked down at the engraved triangles. "Then I'll make sure it keeps that promise." The general gave a small nod. "That's all any of us ever could do, because courage doesn't fade. It finds new hand to carry it forward. And sometimes what seems like routine duty is really a meeting between the living and the legacy they protect. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what courage means to you. And remember, every story of kindness, honor, and sacrifice deserves to be